Quite ironically, it was completely an accident that I got into competing. I really didn't know what it was at first. And in 2011, I joined a gym nearby, and there happened to be a coach in there who put girls in bodybuilding shows. And he comes up to me, he goes, "You should compete." And I'm like, "Okay, what's that?" And I did my first show, and it was totally addicting. I guess once you see it and you see the results and you kind of get the building and stuff like that in the off season, it's you just want to keep doing it. So it just kind of grew from there, and then I moved on to different coaches, and I started in the OCB, and then I switched to the MPC shortly thereafter, and then figures just always been my home. And then I decided pretty quickly, I was like, I want to hit nationals, and then obviously go for the pro card.
Mhm. And OCB, as anybody knows, is a natural organization. I've
Mhm.
interviewed quite a few OCB competitors. And it's like I said, transition from OCB to NPC. That's a big
Mhm.
step.
It was a big step, yes. I've always been kind of like a go big or go home kind of person, and I decided, and I guess figuratively and literally, that I wanted to go play with the big kids in the NPC and see how I stacked up against the best.
Yeah. So, what was that experience like that first time you competed?
Overwhelming and a blur because it's such an adrenaline rush, I guess, to get into it. And you didn't really take the time to enjoy it as much, and you didn't know what was going on. It was a lot more nerve wracking. You didn't know how to handle everything from the tan to the makeup, to when you have to be there, what you have to take, and stuff like that. So it was cool, but overwhelming all at the same time.
hmm Yeah, I mean, it's experience. You got to think about it. You're going out there on a stage in front of a bunch of strangers, being judged for your body.
Yep.
You got people looking at you. You're wearing this little, bikini with all sparkles and like that. You might have some guys look and say, "Who's that blonde in with the buff muscle?" I have to admit my crime for you, Rebecca. Yeah, I am a muscle person. No, y'all ladies, with your muscles in sight. So, you know, and what was that first show for you? Were you always in figure, or you were early? What was your first division?
Figure. I've always been a figure girl. It was initially when this first coach saw me, he was like, "Oh, maybe you could do bikini," because I've always been more slender. And then I started lifting for about 4 or 5 months, and I grew some shoulders real fast. And he's like, "We're not doing bikini. We're going to be doing figure." And there it went. So my first show, and then on, always been a home and figure for me.
Yeah, figure's been around for quite some time. It started, I think, about the good part of the late '90s, early 2000s. It was alternative
Mhm.
for ladies who were either too small for women's bodybuilding and didn't want to do
Mhm.
all the jump around chicken sweat of fitness.
Mhm.
And quite a few competitors earned their stripes in that division. One of my favorites is Ashley Jones. For a good long time, she was figure till she switched up. Tara
Mhm.
Cuejo, she also did figure. And also one of my all-time favorites. I gotta talk about her because she's my girlfriend, and that is the beautiful, amazing. And I'm just obsessed with her because she's just one of those women that really changed the sport. And that's one Miss Andrea Shaw. I mean, I think she's really, she just regained her title at the Rising Phoenix. So that's last weekend, and she's on the way for probably her sixth title.
Mhm.
Yeah,
I can't wait to watch at the Olympia. Not too
yeah,
long.
can't wait. Is there anybody in the sport that you follow that you admire?
I more go follow the figure girls. Jessica Reyes Padilla. I definitely follow her a lot. Partially because I'm built a lot like her, so I'm tall as well. Let's see. Of course, Sydney. I followed her a good bit. I got into following some of the other girls. Missy was actually the fitness girl that just switched to figure, so that's been an interesting kind of transition to follow. I see why she did it, but she was actually the one who initially inspired me to go with the braids on stage. So I don't know if you saw her a few years ago. She did
Yeah,
some
yeah,
blue tipped braids, and I was like, "Ooh, that's pretty cool."
yeah.
So those are the ones I usually follow, but I just love the sport anyway. It's just competitive. It's nice to see people push themselves and see what they can do.
Yeah, it's a competitive sport, especially for the aspects we look at women, because this is something that most people don't think women should have muscles. You shouldn't do a sport like this. It's very extreme. It's just there's so much involved with it as you grow and develop as an athlete. We
Mhm.
have here a shout out to our man Alex coming through. Shout out to Alex. Says, "Hey George, hello Rebecca, nice to meet you." Shout out my little man Alex is my little nephew here. He comes
Oh.
out. We do a podcast on Monday. He's always there hanging out. I appreciate his support. I got to meet him a while back when I went to Tampa. It was a great opportunity for me to go there. You know, um, Now, okay. Now you turned pro back in
Mhm.
2023, and
Right.
you did the teen collegiate show, which is they call it the Masters you
Nationals.
know Nationals. What was that experience like when they told you now you're IFBB pro?
It was surreal at first. I get asked this one for a good bit. Yeah, it was very, very surreal. It doesn't really hit you initially. And then the national shows start coming around that are the pro qualifiers again. And that's when it kind of started to hit me almost like, oh, I don't do North Americans anymore. And I made it past that point, and it was like kind of a delayed reaction, if that makes sense. 'Cause-
Yeah, it's understandable because you know what you got to think about it. There's a lot of I know quite a few ladies who competed for a long time in the NPC
Mhm,
and never turned pro. And some ladies that competed for a long time and then finally get a pro card. It's an
mhm,
experience. I recently just interviewed one lady who told me that the day she got a pro card, she just didn't know what to do. She was crying, she's falling apart.
mhm.
One lady told me she afterwards she puked because she was just
I
it
didn't
was
do
just
that.
it was just an experience because you got to think about it. You're going on a
Mhm,
stage and competing with somebody else, other bunch
mhm,
of other competitors who want to get shot to get their pro card. And if you do like something like
mhm,
the nationals, top two competitors in their class get their pro card, and you just do the overall, see who becomes the overall champion. And then with
mhm.
shows like the North Americans and also the Team Collegiate and others, it's just a one shot opportunity to get a pro card. I know I just had the North Americans a while back. I saw one little lady. I think she got like 4 pro cards.
Mhm. Yeah, it was a lot.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, I even one lady she had 3 pro cards, 2 in figure and 1 in physique. Here's the thing, folks. I actually remember seeing her a while back. I interviewed Shannon Leister, call her Tink, and she used to be, used to hang with her. And this is her, and
Mhm,
also a legendary Rachel Cannon, and there's Shannon. That was about a couple years ago. Now Shannon is IB Pro,
yep.
and Rachel, she's been in the game for a long time. I mean, and yeah, you are a tall chick.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, Rochelle's maybe 5'1", if that.
Yeah.
Shannon's much shorter than me. I'm about 5'8".
Yeah, yeah. I know with women, I think figures. I think it's a division that's good for women who are a lot taller compared
It
to
is.
yeah. I think if you look at certain divisions, if you look at like certain body types fit certain divisions, like if you look at wellness, it's more for the
Mhm,
women who are more of these pear shape in the bottom,
mhm,
good density in the quads, but still have that bikini top.
mhm,
And then you look at divisions like figure and fitness, they kind of run together in a way, the taller
mhm,
competitors. And you look at bikini, more, you know, the beach girl look, but now you got the new division coming up, excuse me, hop, fit model. I just don't, maybe just me. I'm just me being a fan of the sport. I feel like you're trying to bring in a division that's going to end up the division that you're supposed to replace. And that's what they were women's physique, because it's supposed to replace women's bodybuilding. But now
mhm,
you look at division, how so close, even though the opposing skill sets are different,
mhm.
it looks so close. Like you've been competing for quite a while. What's your thoughts on that?
I mean, I kind of like how they're catering to multiple body types. Like, there's lots of different builds out there. There was, they added in wellness because it was the girls couldn't get the upper body. They didn't have the build for figure, but they were too, I mean, obviously jacked in the legs to do bikini. So then, then you added in the fit model, and it was to give the people that don't get it as shredded and hard looking. So
Mm-hmm.
I kind of
Yeah.
like the expansion. You include more. So
Yeah, 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 yeah. Like in over the men's division, you have men's classic, you have men's physique, you
mhm,
have 212. But I think with men, we have a specific body type. We come you know like built a certain way. Even though I'm built like
mhm.
I should be a tub or something, but every man's different, just like a woman is. So, folks, what we're gonna do while we have Rebecca here, we're gonna jump to her social media for a little bit. If you want
Okay.
to follow her, her links in the description of the live. You want to check her out, follow her progress as a bodybuilder, or just reaching genuine interest. These ladies can use support. But guys, there's no offense to her. I know she's a lovely lady. She's time here to talk to me. No weird stuff. Guys, stop it. I've been in this for a while. Ladies, tell me some stories, guys. Like I said, there's guys out there. We see y'all ladies all buff and beautiful. We just can't help ourselves. But some
Mhm.
guys need to know how to behave a little better.
Yeah, those kind actually aren't the worst ones, ironically, but yeah, there's
Yeah.
the real creepy kinds.
Yeah, I heard the stories here. So, folks, we're gonna jump into her social media for a little bit,
Mhm,
and here she is, and and right here is she is. This is it's nice. This is she just did the Atlanta Pro,
mhm,
just last month. Wow, that's it's a pretty big show. I mean, it's promoted by Linda Murray and Wings of Strength.
mhm.
What's that experience like there in Atlanta?
Wild. That was the first one I did this year. I actually did three in a row, 3 weeks in a row.
Oh,
Um, it was really cool to see all the big names and everything like that, but it's also a little overwhelming at the same time. But it was a really neat experience. Very cool stage and everything. Wonderful backstage experience.
yeah, no, I've heard it's a pretty popular show. As you
Mhm,
know, the week before, like I think actually a couple of weeks ago, I went to the Tampa Bay Pro, help my friend
mhm,
out, and it was cool to be there and meet some, especially some ladies I interviewed and some ladies I follow on social media. I mean, it's great. Here's this: be kind to yourself. That's so nice.
mhm.
That's daily affirmations, and I think it's important for anybody in the sport. You need because
Right.
this sport can be so physical, mental, emotional, and
Mhm.
also financially draining on anybody.
Yes, all of the above, especially if you're in prep and the mental stuff starts to get to you. You kind of got to remember to take it easy on yourself because you really are doing a lot.
Yeah, you should. And you say you did 3 shows back to back. What was the other
Mhm.
2 shows?
I did the Maryland Night of Champions and then Masters Worlds in Pittsburgh.
Oh, yeah, because that was a big weekend. Because also the North Americans.
Mhm,
I know one lady I follow, Nina Beans, got a pro card there. A couple ladies I know also did pretty good. Winning their clothes, getting their some ladies getting their qualification for the Masters O in 2027, and
mhm.
and also the thing about we said earlier, you are nerd. So what got you into software?
Oh goodness, that goes way back. I was always good at math growing up, more oriented towards that and towards like the arts and whatnot. And I wanted something that I could use that skill, but it was also lucrative and I could get a job in it. I didn't want to be one of those people that was graduating from school, standing there holding this piece of paper and a bunch of bills or something like that, and not be able to get employed with it. So computer science is a very lucrative degree. It's very easy to get jobs in it, and it just was a good fit.
hmm And how long you been doing that? The
Oh,
software.
about 25 years since 2001. I started when I was 19.
Wow, technology has advanced over the last few years, especially
Oh, yeah.
with stuff with IG, social media.
Mhm.
I'm kind of an old fuddy duddy. It took me a long time before I got my own cell phone. So, so what would you say as a person like yourself who gets into sport? What do you like about it the most?
Oh, goodness. I mean, it's fun to get glammed up. That part is pretty cool. It's a nice, contrast to my day job, which is very formal, I guess is the way to put it. The other things are just the lifestyle habits you learn, the eating habits, it gives you longevity. You learn things that will basically keep you young. I mean, to me, I found the fountain of youth, and I will always be grateful to the bodybuilding world for that, for teaching me how to eat right.
hmm Yeah, I think I met some ladies who are much mature, who got in sport later in life, and found that it kind of one thing it doesn't stop Father Time, but you can't
Mhm,
halt it a little bit. You can slow it down some. Like,
mhm,
most everyday person you talk about when you work out, I just want to get toned, I just want to,
mhm.
tone a little bit, give me a 5 pound weight and that's enough. But
Boom.
for you ladies, there's more to this.
Yes.
It's important to, for one thing, people got to recognize that the consistency of the sport, the
Mhm,
persistence, there's so much that right. Any other day, everyday person can be easily derailed because they don't
mhm.
have discipline. Because
Right.
motivation can go out the window.
Right. Yeah, you have to be very consistent, very disciplined, and the character traits it's built to me, I guess, have been, like I said, I'll just be grateful for it for the rest of my life. You take that, you can apply it anywhere, from work to, dealing with pets and family and stuff like that. Like it's good for everything.
Yeah, yeah. I think at one point I was like a few years ago, I was taking my mom for a long time. And
Hmm.
just, with her after she passed, I realized I could take it myself because at one point I was almost 500 pounds. I'm right now about 230 because
Hmm.
it's hard to try to be disciplined and keep a
Hmm.
diet and try to I used to work out a good bit, but right now I got two bad knees like Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Hmm.
It takes a lot to push yourself
It
to
does.
do what y'all do and not to have that discipline that you have.
It does, and I will say a lot of people don't have it, or they want to get something for free or cheap or something. So that's why you have all the fat burners and everybody running for Ozempic and stuff like that. But ultimately, the best thing you can do is just eat consistently and then train consistently.
hmm We have here a shot from my man Alex coming through again. He says, he will ask you this question. So Rebecca, since you specialize in software, in your opinion what's your opinion on AI? I think it's taking jobs away from people, especially in art. They took their jobs. So
Oh, that's quite a question. That's a good one right there. The techie dorky side of me, I guess you would want to call it. AI is cool, but it's also kind of scary how it's getting that information and what it's tracking in you to find that information or train like voice recognition engines and stuff like that. As far as taking away from the art, I don't see it ever going to totally replace people. There's that certain human feeling aspect that I don't know if we'll ever be able to capture with machines. It can definitely generate stuff, but I have yet to see anything that's really that good that you couldn't tell a little bit that something was off with the AI. Like, I don't know if you feel that way too. Like, I've seen stuff that's supposedly pretty good and scams and things like that. They were AI generated, but there's still something a little not quite right that if you paid attention, you wouldn't get sucked into it. So that's a good question, though.
Yeah, the thing is that with us humans, we have a particular thing about art and passion, and that's something the
Mhm.
machine doesn't have.
Yeah.
Machine just go by numbers and by data and this and that.
Hmm.
But a human, we go by our feelings or emotion. Like do this
Hmm.
content about you, ladies. I enjoy talking to y'all. That's the emotion part about it. I could be cold hearted
Yeah.
and say, "What? Where do you come from? Who you are? Yeah, 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 yeah." And it's good to have good conversation with like when I do my interviews, like my style is I don't have like a set little question. Sometimes I like
Right.
it's like we're on our first date. You're on my date tonight, and we like to have a good back and forth.
Yep.
And that's the thing is that's what separates machine from man. Machine
Hmm.
does have a purpose, but it has limits. It can do a lot more than men. But when it comes to emotionals and heart part and care and stuff like, I think one time we are talking about how maybe in the future there'll be more judgings by machines at shows over human judges. What do you think about that?
I don't know how that could happen because of the so many different body types and such like that. Like, and how would you teach a machine to, is the shape or the conditioning better for somebody or something along those lines? Like, I don't know how you could train a machine to do that kind of thing. And then ultimately, it could come down to like two people in posing. Like, so how do you teach a machine that, so and so's posing was better? Like, this twist was better than that twist and stuff like that just doesn't seem like you'd want a machine involved in making that decision. I would be
Yeah, I
very
see.
dependent. You'd be very dependent on teaching it correctly and training the AI right, and then that's a lot of human error there that could be happening.
Like one thing, some places like law enforcement, they do a lot of facial recognition,
Hmm.
and that's something like you can set up like a score sheet or something like that, and just
Hmm. Yeah.
feed it to the computer, and they just because sometimes I just saw a show where I saw some women that looked like they didn't place as well as should have, and I think sometimes also the emotional factor goes into it because sometimes we be rooting for somebody and then like, hey, she should have did better than that, or yeah. But sometimes the judges see something that we may not see. Sometimes we might be a little prejudiced in that favor.
Yeah, I mean, the criteria is the criteria, and ultimately it does come down to like a decision. Somebody has to make it, and there could be several people that are extremely good, and it was very hard to pick. So you just don't know. Like I've learned a lot working behind the scenes. It's so a lot goes into it, way more, and it having worked with the NPC and stuff like that, it's you know uh, it gives you a whole new level of respect for what goes into producing a show. Like I had no idea until I did it. So
What kind of work? What kind of work you did for the NPC?
I do the scorekeeping. I'm a tabulator.
Oh, that's why I got you because you're a nerd. You like computing math like that,
I was like, I,
Yeah. So, man, Alex, he backs you up. He says, I don't think you're a dork. I have been drawing without using AI. I
Mhm.
graduated from art college, and I still have that passion. Yeah, it's good for you, brother. Yeah, yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah, and it's good that you found a function with the NPC where
Mhm.
your skills is in software and also your math skills helps because tabulating those things, getting together. Some people may not know how to count to five.
Yep. I mean, everybody's got their talents. We'll say that.
So anyway, what's it like for you, like during your week when you're, especially what's the day like for Miss Broadwater, as a competitor, and just not just how you do week style. What's the plan? What do you do like between your training and anything else?
Well, what a normal day for me is like is very different if I'm prepping or not. So, I mean, if to give you an example, like in prep, like you're getting up, you're doing your cardio. Best thing I ever did was buy a stepper and put it in my garage. So that made getting fasted cardio done much easier. So get up, have breakfast, walk the dog. Then I go work for the day. I'm very fortunate I work at home. And then I'll usually go train sometime in the late afternoon. And then there's usually more cardio, more dog walking, and of course you're eating pretty much nonstop. Off season is a little more relaxed. I don't have to be in the gym like every day. So I lift 4 to 5 days a week and it's more focused on the actual length and lifting and putting on the size and the muscle and stuff like that. And I get more time in recovery. I get to go to the infrared sauna and all that kind of good stuff. And, spend more time with friends, family, and just in general decompress from the prep season.
Yeah, I mean, the season, as you know, is winding down because I
Hmm.
said earlier, a couple of shows were qualifiers for this year's Olympia. Then it's
Hmm.
going to pick up later on because there's some qualifiers for next year's Olympia. I mean, there's a lot to do as a bodybuilder: the prep,
Hmm.
the training. Like
Hmm.
what would you think would you like to change if you could in the sport?
What do I like to change? Like in what regard? Like as far as
Like the criteria is just it's steadily evolving. If you look at now, if you look at how the figure division is looking, you look at some top competitors. I'm seeing girls in figure that should do women's physique. I'm seeing women's physique, competitors should be doing women's bodybuilding. You think
mm,
that they should stick to the criteria based on that division, or you feel like it's going like all over the place with it?
it's an art. So the criteria are their guidelines, and there's always going to be a gray area between them. And there's always going to be, in the eyes of the beholder as well. So you put all those things together, it's kind of hard to say like this one's wrong and this one's right, that kind of thing. Yes, there are some glaring examples some once in a while, but for the most part, they're fairly different, but there's a lot of overlap between figure and physique, for example. That it's some overlap between figure and wellness. It's just a kind of a figure girl that maybe with a little less shoulders, that kind of thing.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I'm not pretty much like an outsider looking in, but I do see some aesthetics. I think they need to maybe concentrate more on that particular division and focus on its growth instead of trying to pass it off as something else. Because instead of getting with physique, it was supposed to be like alternative with bodybuilding, but getting so close to the look. If you look at it now, and people like Jessica Rhea Padilla, she's another level. One person I like is Lola Montez. I think I'm rooting for Lola. I'm Team Lola for this Olympic.
She is cool.
Yeah,
She's very good. She's got incredible stage presence. So
yeah. She has a great look to her. I mean, we've talked before a few times on social media. I enjoyed, like I said, I enjoyed the opportunity to talk to you ladies. Now, for this season, how you feel like you may need the improvements on? Like, who's your coach and how long y'all been together?
well, I've been on my own this year. So I've yeah, weirdly enough, well not one too weirdly if you really think about it, the like all the meal planning and all that stuff appeals to my analytical side. So as far as macro computing and stuff like that, what you're supposed to eat and figuring out the right caloric deficit and stuff to drop the weight evenly, like all that stuff is very appealing to me. So I like writing up that kind of stuff. I like writing up workout plans and doing my own workout programming.
That's right. Not a lot of competitors
Mhm,
say they do everything on their own. They always have a coach. You might have a one coach for
mhm,
your posing, one coach for your overall prep, and one coach for your
mhm.
nutrition. But
Can do that.
it's yeah. But like I said again, you're a very intelligent woman. You know how to figure out things and how to set them up and work to your
Mhm,
favor. Like the last show, you did like I said again, you did the world master championship. What was critique from the judges? What do you feel like they told you might need to work on?
It's what I knew, and I would have placed better had I come in more conditioned and more separated, especially in my legs. So I was told a few years ago, it's kind of comical that I'm thick-skinned in more than one way. So I have to come in a little leaner and drier because my skin is thick. But on the flip side, it kind of helps me stay younger looking. So it's a pro and a con at the same time.
So you mean you have thick skin like you like the Rhino from the Marvel movies? You know, you
Yeah, and
just
you also have to be thick-skinned in the sport anyway to take the criticism and all that
yeah.
kind of good stuff.
Doing this, yeah, I've make comments and somebody say, "Hey, you shouldn't say that." Hey, it's just me as a person, as a fan, making a comment. Like if I see something, I say, I don't like it, and everybody's like, "Hey, you shouldn't say that." Here, it's just me giving my opinion. What's wrong
Mhm,
with? Well, we know what's wrong with this country right now. But I'm not gonna get to that too much. But I think everybody has those things that they work with. That's their strengths and their
mhm.
weakness. Like when you're in the gym, what's that like when you like work it out? What's that workout you say? I love it to do it. I just love it. And then one says, damn, why I gotta do that shit?
As far as exercises go. Oh goodness. Okay, I am not a fan of the hack squat, but it produces results. I'll say that. Me and that thing do not get along. I love any kind of back workout though. That's the most fun workout for me.
Yeah. I think, especially in your division, you really want to bring your back. I know I saw this one video
Mhm.
lady said, where she said that you want your smaller waist, just make your back bigger
To a
because
certain extent. Yep.
yeah, because the back is the important part when it comes to figure because you want those round cap shoulders, you want that nice V tape, you want to go into waist, but if you don't got a
Mhm,
small natural waist, you have to really work more on your back. Quite a few, especially with figure, I've interviewed quite a few y'all ladies in figure. That's the thing you work on the most. I think
mhm.
the number one least favorite, if you can ask anybody, be like you mentioned hack squat, is leg day. No one loves leg day. It's like it, it's like the episode when Dave Chappelle was playing Rick James,
Oh
and he
God.
meets yeah. You remember that when they meet
Yes.
they meet Charlie Murphy and they go back to Eddie's house and say F your couch, Eddie Murphy, F your couch, and Charlie and Eddie are beating his legs. Say what are my legs, Eddie Murphy? What are my legs? That's I have had some ladies told me oh they love leg day. I tell them you are a masochistic creature. Yeah, who loves leg day? I mean, I said, no, George, I love it. It just feels so good. The pain, feel the pain, love the pain. Some people just, like my other guy would say, they just creatures of habit. They just love
Mhm.
just anarchy and chaos.
Yep.
Rebecca, they just love that, the pain of it. Me, I just love things like gasoline and dynamite. But oh, before I leave you, Rebecca, I want to tell you something. Oh, you are beautiful.
Silly. And thank
I
you.
am so sorry about him. I try to keep him under control the best I can,
Okay.
but So now that your season's done,
Mhm.
what's the plan for 2025? I mean, 2026. Can't believe it.
I know. It's scary, isn't it? It's
Yeah,
2026 next year.
yeah, just
So,
3 months away.
mhm. Build my legs more, especially my quads. I actually, quite ironically, I used to be bottom heavy years ago, and so I had somebody advise me to let my legs come down, which I shouldn't have done. And so I have to bring my legs back up to now match my upper body, which pretty much overpowers everything, especially my back. So it's not a bad problem to have too much back and shoulders, but I need legs that go with it.
Yeah. You want the full package. You want the good back. You want
Mhm.
the good legs. You don't want it to be feel like wonky. You want to like
No.
your legs. Yeah, you don't want your legs not to come in, but your back's coming in, and then you want your back not coming
Mhm.
in, your legs coming in. You want everything to
Exactly.
come together.
hmm I need my I need my quad sweep to match the width of my lats and that kind of thing. So
Mhm.
fill in my inner quad a little bit, just get the separation better, which it should come back this year.
Yeah, it's a like bodybuilding is a process. It's about taking the time to work, to build, develop, and again, it can be a lot. on anybody. The physical aspects, the mental aspects, the financial aspects. Like I often say like this, the financial part I think is one of the biggest part about the sport because like any other sport, if you look at the mainstream sports, hey, you can make a living off of it. Yeah, you can, but your job is